could ever have found in the United States. This is me with hair, believe it or not. I did have some hair 200 years ago. This is the first story I ever published under the name of Yitzhak Bashevis. A Yiddish newspaper believed in publishing stories. They still publish stories. As a matter of fact, the Forward published almost all my novels serialized. So we still clung to the 19th century conditions where writers published their works in newspapers. Oh, this is the Yiddish newspaper Hind. I wish I could have it home and read it every day. Here they announce Yoshe Kalb, my brother's play. I have written a lot about my brother. He was not only older than I, and I looked up to him with love and admiration, but he was actually my master in literature. He did not live to be appreciated according to his value. And I'm very happy that nowadays there's now a movement back to him. My brother was for years working for the Jewish Native Forward as a correspondent. And then when things became bad, Hitler took over or was about to take over, my brother decided to go to America. And I decided also to do it as quickly as possible, a year later or so. I came here May the 1st, 1935. After the ship, my brother and a writer from the Forward, Mr. Crystal, waited for me. And our first visit was to the Forwards. And the first thing I saw was a huge crowd of people, and someone was making a first May speech, a socialistic speech. And the two pillars of the Forward were all draped in red. And I said to myself, how's this possible? In Poland, they would have all been arrested or something like this. And then from there, my brother took me to Seagate in Brooklyn, near Coney Island, where he spent the summer. I lived the first 2 or 3 years in Seagate, in Coney Island, in Sheepshead Bay. Oh my God. This is this. Oh. I cannot believe it. This is the house. These are the white columns. I am sure that this must have been the entrance. This was the entrance. Oh. My God, I'm sure 100% that this is the house where my brother lived, where I came the first day. It was May the 1st in 1935, where they took me from the ship right here. A Day in Coney Island is a story of my life in Coney Island. Today I know exactly what I should have done that summer, my work. But then I wrote almost nothing. Who needs Yiddish in America, I asked myself. Though the editor of a Yiddish paper published a sketch of mine from time to time in the Sunday edition, he told me frankly that no one gave a hoot about demons, dybbaks, and imps of 200 years ago. At
30, a refugee from Poland, I had become an anachronism. As if that were not enough, Washington had refused to extend my tourist visa. The newspapers were predicting that Hitler would invade Poland any day. Lieberman, my lawyer, was trying to get me a permanent visa. But for that, I needed my birth certificate, a certificate of morality, a letter saying that I was employed, and other papers I could not obtain. I opened my eyes after a fitful sleep full of nightmares. My Warsaw wristwatch showed 11:15. Through the cracks in the shade, a golden light poured in. I could hear the sounds of the ocean. For a year and a half, I had been renting a furnished room in an old house in Seagate, not far from Esther. That's what I'll call her here. And I paid $16 a month for it. Mrs. Berger, the landlady, gave me breakfast at cost. Until they deported me to Poland, I was enjoying American comfort. I took a bath in the bathroom down the hall. At that time of the day, it wasn't occupied. And I could see a huge boat arriving from Europe, either the Queen Mary or the Normandy.
It was a place which I loved from the very beginning because it was near the ocean and at the same time far from this noise, the Coney Island noise. Many Yiddish writers lived here. Well, all I guess, it's all gone. The writers are dead. My brother is not alive. But I recognize these columns. They were there.
I expected Mrs. Berger's kitchen to be empty so late in the morning, but they were all there. Mr. Heikowitz, his third wife, the old writer Lemkin, who used to be an anarchist, and Sylvia, who had taken me to a movie on Mermaid Avenue a few days before. When I entered the kitchen, Mrs. Berger cried out, "Here's our writer. How can a man sleep so long? I've been on my feet since 6 this morning." Everyone teased me. Old Heikowitz said, "Do you realize that you've missed the hour of morning prayer?" His third wife joined in. "I bet this greenhorn hasn't even got phylacteries." As for Lemkin, he said, "If you ask me, he was up writing a bestseller the whole night." "What are you going to eat today?" Mrs. Berger asked me. 2 rolls with 1 egg or 2 eggs with 1 roll? Whatever you give me. I'm ready to give you the moon on a plate. I'm scared of what you may write about me in your Yiddish paper.
I was told that Mr. Barkan is still alive. If he is, he must be at least 100 years now, or maybe older. Mr. Barkan.
I recognize you.
I have had many miracles happen. Many miracles happened in my life, but this looks to me one of the greatest.
40 years ago. 42 years ago.
Yes, no, I came here in 1935, and I lived in your house in 1936.
36.
It is 45 or 46 years.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm 102 now.
102.
Yeah.
Do you know that I wrote a story called A Day in Coney Island where I described you?
Remember how Coney Island looked?
No, I don't know
How it looks now.
about that story.
Yes, and your former wife and the borders. I was about 30 years.
Then,
Yes. You must have been then
50 or 60.
50 or 60, but to me already you looked old. But now I know that you were young
I'm old.
people. Yes.
Now I'm old.
And all these things are here, and we are sitting right near one another. We remember these things.
Time marches on.
And marches in Seagate,
In Seagate.
in a very strange way. I have created a literature which is half autobiography and half fiction. I began to mix fiction with reality to such a degree that after a while I was bewildered myself. I didn't know what is really autobiography and what is fiction. This is the house. This is it. It have done some changes, but it's the same house where Esther lived, the woman whom I described. in my story as Esther. Her name was not really Esther, well, anyhow.
I ate my breakfast quickly and left. Outside, I looked in the letterbox, but there was nothing for me. Only 2 blocks away, I could see the house Esther had rented the winter before last. She let rooms to people who wanted to spend their vacations near New York. I couldn't visit her during the daytime. I used to steal over late at night. Esther was almost 10 years older than I. She had divorced her husband, a Yiddish poet, a modernist, a communist, a charlatan. He took off for California and never sent a penny for their 2 little daughters. He was living with an artist who painted abstract pictures. A lot of Yiddish writers and journalists lived there that summer, and they were not to know about my love affair with Esther. Since I didn't intend to marry her, why jeopardize her reputation?
This house was full of Yiddish writers. Here they were sitting and discussing literature, and there I came in the middle, a new writer, a would-be writer, a brother of a writer, and all. And this Esther was a beautiful woman, a widow. It's one of those things which a man, especially a man who writes, cannot forget.
I had been in America for 18 months, but Coney Island still surprised me. The sun poured down like fire. From the beach came a roar even louder than the ocean.
Put your dime in the plate and take the plate home with you. Yes, folks?
I passed a sideshow displaying a creature that was half woman, half fish. A wax museum with figures of Marie Antoinette, Buffalo Bill, and John Wilkes Booth. A store where a turbaned astrologer sat in the dark, surrounded by maps and globes of the heavenly constellations. Everyone bellowed in his own way. Sellers of popcorn and hot dogs, ice cream and peanuts, cotton candy and corn on the cob. Every day, the same group of old men was gathered at the pavilion discussing communism. A little man with a round red face and white hair like foam shook his head violently and yelled, "Who's going to save the workers? Hitler? Mussolini? That social fascist Leon Blum? That opportunist Norman Thomas? Long live Comrade Stalin! Blessed be his hands!" I decided to walk to Brighton. The girders of the L threw a net of sun and shade on the pavements. A train from Manhattan zoomed by with a deafening clatter. No matter how time and space are defined, I thought, it is impossible to be simultaneously in Brooklyn and Manhattan. I passed by windows displaying mattresses and samples of roofing shingles, kosher chickens. I stopped at a Chinese restaurant. Should I go eat lunch? No, in the cafeteria it might be a nickel cheaper. I was down to almost my last cent. If my sketch after the divorce didn't appear in the Sunday edition, nothing remained but suicide. I knew that those who are condemned to death order last meals. People don't even want to be executed on an empty stomach. I counted my money, and I remembered that I had to call the newspaper and ask about my sketch. I knew that a call from Coney Island to Manhattan cost 10 cents, and the Sunday editor, Leon Diamond, rarely came into the office. I prayed to the same powers preparing the world catastrophe that the operator wouldn't give me a wrong number. I pronounced my number as clearly as I could in my accent, and she told me to put in my dime. The girl at the switchboard answered, and I asked for Leon Diamond. I was almost sure she would tell me that he wasn't in his office, but I heard his voice on the line. I began to stutter and excuse myself. When I told him who I was, he said brusquely, "Your story will be in on Sunday." Thank you very much. Send me a new story. Goodbye. A miracle of heaven, I shouted to myself. The moment I hung up, another miracle occurred. Money began to pour from the telephone. For a second, I hesitated. But the telephone company would never get it back anyway, and someone who needed it less than I might find it.
It was almost $1, and I suddenly became rich.
Is this actually a true
This
story?
actually happened. And in addition, when I finally made a call,